If you're looking for a break from your boring ass meta build using the liquid cooling of whatever the hell, then this one is for you. We've made a poison Graveshot, aka the Graveborn mixed with Spellshot. Neither of those classes really benefit from poison, but somehow this works insanely well. It is really fun. The cubes are just fantastic. We're going to get real cubey in this one. Stick around. I'm going to hit the pros and cons of the setup, the class skills in the trees, the gear utilized, and obviously a quick rundown of the stat points. If at any point in time during this video you like it, please click that like button. If you like it, I can brag to my friends about how much doper I am than them. For the pros and cons of the setup, the first pro is very obvious. You have two humongous cubes. These cubes are, you're going to join lobbies with random players. Oh my god, your cubes are so big. Get them out of my face. Cubes actually do a humongous amount of damage, and they sort of cover the entire map with with poison. I was running double cube or cube cubed or cube to the cubed power, where we're going to cube the cubes, but I actually swapped it out. I only run one cube spell, and that's because the single target damage was a little bit lackluster, especially on bosses. So I swapped it out for a higher alpha strike or big hit damage on my right bumper, for a nice combination where I can cover the whole floor in poison and have good single target damage when I need to do it. Another set of pros and cons are, well, the first thing is we literally never aim. It is my favorite, best setup I've played in this entire game. I never aim one time. You reload your gun to get your companion that shoots out poison everywhere. You throw your cubes without aiming them and they just make poison damage go everywhere. Well, you kind of have to aim your wand, but it's homing, so not really. It's just going to lock on and pop somebody right in the butthole. But the con of that, well, it's kind of obvious. If you can't aim or control where any of your stuff is going, you don't really have any control over what you're actually attacking or damaging. You're sort of at the mercy of where the cubes go, where your auto spell targeting attacks, and where your companion decides to go on his own. But other than that, it's so worth it. I can't recommend it enough. You will have a cube of laughs if you play this setup. This build isn't actually completely min-maxed. We spread the love between our spell damage and our companion damage because we have a nice synergy with our gun, which counts as a companion, our actual companion, and our Hydra companions. But we're spamming spells like nobody's business with our blazing fast cooldowns. So it's nice to have a combination of both. Now that you know our entire goal is to cover the map in poison, let's go over the gear. This is going to be pretty surprising to nobody, but we are using one gun, and that is a venomous Fear Not of the Chosen One. The important part we're looking for is a poison Fear Not. This Ferior, previously Tedior gun, is so sick. When we reload it, we throw it, and it turns into a pixie companion, which benefits from all of our companion buffs in the skill tree and in our gear, like our jewelry. So this is an important gun to have. It does humongous chunks of damage. I will point out the cap on companions from this gun is 3 reloads. They last for quite a while, so if you're reloading over 3 times in rapid succession, you are causing the pixie companions you already have to detonate because the cap is 3. They run around, they shoot, they do poison damage, they also do bonus dark magic damage from our skill tree. This gun is so sick and arguably our biggest source of damage. This gun is great. Shoot a couple times, throw off the reload, watch things melt in front of your very eyes. The melee weapon is kind of not that important because I don't really melee that much. It's just not really the playstyle with this guy. It's you have to aim. I have to like pick who I'm gonna attack. Ugh. But if you're gonna pick one, it's nice to have some poison on there. And also, this gives us a good time to talk about our enchantments. There are very limited enchantments you can have for buffing spells and spell-based damage. So we need to make sure we look out for spellcasting increases poison damage, spellcasting increases elemental damage, spellcasting increases gun damage, and of course spellcasting increases all damage dealt. Moving on to our beautiful jewelry, we're going to run an amulet that gives us poison damage and spell shot power. I think you could get away with doing Graveborn power to buff our blast grasp and our companion, but the spell shot power, it's supposed to work with the stacks of spell weaving we have and buffing our spell damage, but honestly, I cannot tell if that even works at all. It should be some humongous bonus, but when I've swapped amulets to Graveborn, I don't even feel the difference. The important thing here is we have bonus poison damage. Loot luck is nice, and all damage, and also the bottom. When Fate Maker or a companion kills an enemy, companion damage is increased by 20% for 15 seconds. This stacks up to 5 times. Whew. That makes our gun reload and our Demi-Lich companion, and if we melee with the snake stick, all of our companions will do more damage. Really helpful modifier to have on a legendary Ami. On our ring fingies, we're going to have 2 rings, and this is where you can min-max differently than I did. I split it up here. I went 1 spell damage and 1 companion damage. You could go both companion damage or both spell damage. You cannot go wrong. It's sort of up to you what you're feeling. But the cool thing is you want to make sure you pay attention to the secondary modifiers. You want spell critical hit damage. Spell radius is great for our cubes because it just gives us more poison on the floor. And spell critical hit chance, actually not that important because we have so much spell critical hit chance from our spell shot tree. So on top of spell radius or spell critical hit damage, the other ones that are good are companion critical hit chance and companion critical hit damage, because that'll buff our reloaded gun, it'll buff our demi-lich, and if you use the melee stick I have, the snake stick, it'll buff those hydras temporarily, even though the damage on those is pretty lackluster. One of the reasons our companions slap so much ass is because of our shield, which buffs our companion damage by 25%. This is a big meaty chonker of a buff. Was a little bit disappointed because I was able to find shields which buffed our lightning damage or our fire damage, but I could never find one that buffed poison damage. If this item exists, please let me know in the comments. I'm not even trying to fish for engagement. I'm genuinely curious because I farmed for far too long. Definitely not butthurt about it though. It's all good. So this shield is great. It buffs our companion damage. We have our nice enchantment on there, so it works out pretty well. It doesn't really ever come back because of our skill tree, so the recharge delay is irrelevant, but the recharge rate also irrelevant. The capacity is sort of irrelevant, so just get the shield that gives your companion damage buffed and call it a day. Speaking of time in your life you will never get back, the amount of time I sank into farming armor that I literally could never beat the purple one I started with is actually disgusting, and my entire family would be ashamed if they found out the time it was. Anywho, so we're going to go with a mod or armor that gives us some sweet Buffenheimers here, dude. We got bonus companion damage, bonus all damage, bonus spell damage. Those are sweet rolls. And the skills on this armor are actually really nice. The little heart in the middle there gives us bonus to our spell damage and our max health. The hourglass gives us bonus spell cooldown, which is beautiful. And then the one on the far right is actually trash. We don't want the free chance at a reload because it does not give us our pixie companion from reloading our gun. But, you know, it is a small price to pay for an otherwise perfect class mod that isn't chaotic or volatile because they don't exist. The perfect armor does not exist. Last but very not least, we need to talk about our spells. The first one is going to be our Frosting Gelatinous Cube. Oh boy, this roll is about as good as you can find. I like this one because I get the double cube, which is the bonus projectile. We also love the damage radius on this one because it's just more poison on the floor. And status chance is basically irrelevant. So if you find one without that, but the other two mods are in the jackpot, we want radius, we want extra projectile. And if you can somehow finagle one with an extra charge, it's just, oh my God, it's so good. And you could run two of these and they are very fun. Just remember what I said. The single target damage is a bit brutal if you don't have another spell on your offhand that you can target a boss with. In our other hand, we're going to be using the Jacketed Concentrated Magic Barrage. This thing isn't even chaotic or volatile, and it just absolutely shreks enemies. It's got a beautiful cooldown, a beautiful huge alpha strike damaging hit with 3015 times 2. It hits really, really hard, and it also is nice because this one is pretty easy to hit your targets with without aiming. It's got a little guidey boy on there, so point it in the general direction of something and it should die. As you can see from the gameplay, I have no problem hitting for easily 80k with this thing, and like I said, the cooldown is blisteringly fast with our build. I think we just about got the gear covered. Let's switch gears and go on over to the skill tree and talk about stats briefly so you can go out there and melt some ass with some poison damage. This is our Graveshot skill trees, Graveborn mixed with Spellshot. From the Spellshot tree, we absolutely are going to be running Ambihextrious for our skill ability so we can run 2 spells. From the Spellshot tree, we need to make our way down to the 3rd row from the bottom in order to get high thread count. This gives us big buffs towards our spell damage, and because we need to get that spell buff, we need to put points in the tree. I would recommend maxing out the skill which gives you bonus to spell critical hit, bonus to spell cooldown, and everything else you can play with. If you want to have the chance of reloading, put the points in there. If you want to have your shield regen, put it in there. It's a lot of gun damage buffing stuff, so this is why I have it set the way I do. It's very simple. You just need to make it down to high thread count. Everything else is just a nice bonus. From the Graveborn tree, we absolutely have to make it down to the capstone. The capstone gives us the ability to activate all of our kill skills when we cast a spell. This is huge. We absolutely need to get here. And that makes it so that we don't have a ton of options for how to spec this out, but let's go over what I hit. We need to max out Essence Drain so we can get our spell cooldown as quickly as possible. We need to max out Harvest so we can buff our companions to have bonus dark magic damage. This is especially helpful for the gun we are using, which we are just reloading and chucking into the enemy's faces. Then we are maxing Stain of the Soul, which gives our spells bonus dark magic damage, which is a nice additional source of damage for our sweet poisony boys or spells. We then need to max out Ascension in order to buff our spell damage and our health pool. We're going to put a point into Punishment so our Demi-Lich can cast Hellish Blast, which is a nice additional source of damage. He can cast that more frequently with the skill point because we're casting so many spells, he's going to be firing that off frequently. Then we put a point into Lord of Edges, which gives us up to a 25% damage buff based on how low our health is. This is very helpful, additional damage. We are then going to move on and max out Blast Grasp. This is going to give us huge additional sources of damage every time we cast a spell. Gives us a chance to fire an ability damage-based attack. Very helpful, spreads more poison on the map. Our goal is to cover the frickin' map in poison. So this is a beautiful skill to put into our mix. And finally, as I mentioned, we need that capstone to get our frickin' kill skills every time we cast a spell. Huge. Get that point, son. Our skill points are super easy to allocate. We need to max out Strength so we can have bonus critical hit damage since our spells are going to be critting so frequently. Then we need to max out Attunement, I think. I already forgot the one where we get the most spell cooldown possible. And then whatever you have left, dump it into Wisdom so we can have nice buffs to our status effect damage. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have feedback in a way I could do this better, please let me know. I'm all about it. I'm still trying to improve. I don't want to make this shit and have nobody watch because everybody's too afraid to tell me that I suck and I could do it better. So if you got feedback, let me know. Until next time, we